And I started to realize that my self-worth was in the attention. You make the right choice every single time when you can choose anything. Insecurities are not, that's the devil, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you're meant to love yourself. You're meant to love others.
America, we're going on tour. This 2026, we're bringing the I Heart Jesus live podcast tour to over 22 cities across America. We're getting in a bus for over a month and traveling the country, believing God to miraculously move in each city in such a specific way. And there's no better way to start your 2026 than to worship with other fellow believers. So make sure to secure your seats. Go to jesusinthestreet.org/tour. Get your tickets, save your seats, bring your friends, and we'll see you guys in 2026 for the I Heart Jesus live podcast tour. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Bryce Crawford podcast. I'm Bryce, and today's episode, by the title that you can see right now, we have Baylen Levine.
Hi, guys. Hello.
Moses is attacking him right now.
Me and Moses are, we just became good friends.
I'm pumped about this episode, and I was telling Baylen earlier, a lot of people watching have requested it. A lot of people.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of
but
people.
But I personally have been wanting. We've been talking about it forever.
When I run into people, I get a lot of people telling me that we favor, that I remind them of you.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the coolest thing ever. Wow.
Well, I feel honored. So thanks for coming on,
dude. Of course,
bro,
I feel honored.
I'm glad you're here. So if no one knew anything about you right now and they're watching this, how would you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you.
So do you all want me to look at the camera, or where do I look?
You can look at me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I'm talking to them right now. I was introducing myself to them.
Yeah, but you're giving a backstory.
Okay.
A little lore. We got to know the lore.
Yeah. So I am Baylen, and I kind of just video my life, whatever we do that day. Me and my friend group started with pranks, still do some pranks here and there. But I'm kind of in a new chapter of my life. I still like to have fun and mess around, but I haven't I took a break from social media for a little, just to find myself, and kind of I'm always go. So it was nice to have that time. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think that's so good. I think, I've watched you since I was in 8th grade, probably 9th grade, which is lit, and that's so fun. It's fun that we get to sit down, and you've had an impact on so many people.
Thank you, man.
A lot of young people.
Thank you.
And I know now we've been getting to talk about it a little bit, but you're in this phase of life where you're evolving. Things are changing. They're a little bit different, and I think change is good, and I think that it's healthy. And you've been growing in your faith a lot recently. Faith has become important to you. What's changed for you?
Really, man, I started to grow up, things started to change really when I wasn't fond of the person I was becoming, and the person I was at the time. And I didn't even know it in the moment, sometimes it takes, you have to get humbled. You know what I mean? So I was just in a spot of where I finally wanted to listen, because for so long I didn't want to listen. I had my ways, I had the way I did things, and I wouldn't really listen to anyone. I thought that I knew right all the time. And so my best friend Peach, he really started to open my mind up to some of the changes and some of the things and the ways I was acting. And he is a huge reason why all this started, is because he just started to open my mind up a little bit to the man I wanted to be, and what was the question?
Yeah, we're talking about what's changed. Well, I think it's important. I think that's good. I think you should stop right there, actually, because I think we should kind of rewind a little bit and kind of dive into when you were younger. So like for context, you've always had a passion for YouTube, been filming videos for a long time. You were in high school when you were filming videos, and things were starting to change. Bring us into that point right there. You're making videos on YouTube, and
yeah, it's kind of weird because we talk all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I was 17 years old when I really started, and I got kicked out of school for the videos. I actually went to a Catholic school, so we were cussing in the videos and whatnot, and they didn't like it, and so I got asked to leave, but I was very determined. I was very set, because they didn't really understand social media. Yes, I cussed, and yes, we did pranks and stuff, but I had such a bigger mission of let me be funny, and let me be myself to kind of wrap viewers in, and then once they, think I'm funny or they think I'm awesome, then I really had such goals of promoting sobriety and promoting, going after your dreams and promoting being yourself and all these things. But I knew that I needed the eyes to do that. And I also enjoyed pranking and messing around. I enjoyed, balance, so I had a bigger mission, and the school didn't really understand that. And neither did my parents, no one did, so when they kicked me out,
it's very
not
untraditional,
traditional, especially back then. This was like 2018, which doesn't seem that long ago, but like, it was. I feel like it's become a little more popular with TikTok and everything to do social media.
It's become normal, for sure. But I think back then, like, I don't even think TikTok was a thing. I think it wasn't. Like YouTube. YouTube was like the mainstream. And when I think of like 2018 YouTube, I think of like OG, like older videos. So it was an untraditional.
Yeah, it was thing. It wasn't the norm, and so I knew my goal, and I kind of viewed it as like, this is meant to be, you know what I mean? Like, because once I got kicked out, I really got to lock in and just like grind out videos. And I had such plans and such goals, and I wanted to do something I loved. You know what I mean? I wanted to, I knew how happy that would make me, and I knew I wanted to influence kids, and I knew I wanted to make them smile and make them laugh. And I also knew that I expressed myself. School was not meant for me. I struggled with, everyone was filling out the college applications, and I was like, dude, I'm not. I want to do something else.
Yeah.
And so I put my all into it, and I gave it everything I got, and it slowly started building, and I got to accomplish everything that little 17-year-old Baylen wanted to, so I'm really happy with how it all played out, and I'm so grateful. It was truly my dreams came true, I thank God every day. I think the way it all played out is beautiful.
Yeah.
But then to fast forward is somewhere along the way, I would say, and it sounds dramatic, and I'm sure you know this too, is you can well, I don't know, do we want to jump?
Yeah, bro, jump.
You can lose yourself fast in a sense of like, then that became all that mattered to me. You know what I mean? That was like, I think naturally it just changes the dynamic of friendships, of relationships, of everything. And it consumed me to where like I had no balance. You know what I mean? It was just like work,
Yeah. Man, I think it's so important because I remember being in high school, my sophomore year, and my Bible teacher, Mr. Schaefer, who I love, adore, I talk to all the time, he's like, he's the best. I remember him in class one time, he said, where's your satisfaction? Where's your significance? And where's your security? What makes you satisfied? Where do you find your significance? And what makes you feel secure? And there was a lot of my life where I tried to find my security in people, or I find my significance by what other people thought about me online, or opinions of people, or at school, or peers, or on the baseball team. Or I got my significance in the things I would do because I thought that would make me feel good.
Yeah.
And it breaks my heart, but I feel like there's so much power in what you're saying, because I feel like a lot of people can look at someone like you, like a role model that you've been for so many people, and say, man, he's got everything I want. And you're like, man, even when I had everything I want, I like lost myself in it. And I realized like that wasn't the goal, And I think for me, it's like the goal wasn't what I was looking for. It wasn't the things I was doing to find my satisfaction, significance, and security. Like when I found that in Jesus, everything changed. Because he doesn't change. He's perfect, and he's eternal, and he doesn't change his mind about Bryce. And so when I put my trust on something that doesn't change, that's actually secure. That's actually significant and important and satisfying, And so for you, like, when would you say you started to feel the kind of, I don't know, uneasiness in your heart, or like this kind of like shift for you? It's not like, accomplishments are a good thing.
Accomplishments are cool. But that's where I found my worth of like, it didn't start off that way either.
Yeah.
But I saw, and at first I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Like at first it was really cool when I realized that no one was saying no. You know what I mean? Like kind of what I said went. You know what I mean? And what I wanted to do and what I want. So it was exciting at first. You know what I mean? And it started off all wholesomely. And it's not like anything ever crazy happened, but it was more of just like, I value real friends. I value not having people that always say yes. I value individuals where it's a friendship where you really grow together and you're both learning from each other. You know, and it just started to become where like I didn't have that. You know what I mean? Or my dynamic with my family or like my value came from like what the comments were saying. Like we talked about that at Chick-fil-A. Of like it's easy to get that boost of like when everyone's praising you, it's like, you know, you get that. And I started to realize that my self-worth was in the attention of others, which didn't always come from a bad place either. You know, like I wanted to do well. I've always had morals to it. You know what I mean? Like people watching probably don't even realize that because through the videos it looks so great. You know what I mean? Because I never lost myself to like drugs or having a ton of sex or whatever. You know what I mean? It was never like that. It was just more of like I was very self-centered. You know what I mean? And the moment where I started realizing it is when me and PJ had a huge falling out. You know what I mean? Like he was like, bro, this is not the friend that I knew all these years. You know what I mean? Like it's almost impossible to be around you because I don't agree with you. He was the only one that pushed back. You know what I mean? And that would frustrate me in that time. And then once he started explaining that to me and I allowed myself to even listen to someone else's opinion, because for so long I was like, I used to credit myself. Like I used to be like, I did this. Like, you know what I mean? When good things would happen, I'd be like, I made this happen. Like, I got kicked out of school and I defied the odds and my parents weren't for it. And I did it. Or even when bad things would happen, it would be like, why am I feeling this? Like, I don't want to feel anxiety. This isn't me. I don't need this. You know what I mean? Now I understand that it's so much deeper than that. And it's not me. You know, the reason why I'm here is a blessing. Like, you know what I mean? Even anxieties and even all of that is all God's plan. All those things now looking back on it, that's the reason I am the man. That's the reason why I am the man I am today. But I used to think it was all me. So PJ was the first one before it was even about faith yet. He just even opened my mind up to like, maybe PJ could be right about things. You know what I mean? Maybe I don't always know. The man that has been there as my best friend all these years, if anyone knows, you know what I mean? So he started painting new perspectives for me, which started it. I would say like 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, and it all starts like the journey of change. It started like, he was like, bro, why don't you come lift with me? You know what I mean? Like even something as simple as the gym and just doing something outside of being on camera or like, let me try to get attention or let me like make money I'm not even saying that stuff's bad. Like I think it's important to, I love, it's important to me to provide for my family or to, you know, make people smile and laugh through the phone, you know, but it took over not in a good way. You know, you gotta have balance.
It became an idol in your life.
Yes. And I was also uplifting certain things like I was uplifting the famous like lifestyle or world. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like any like crazy stuff, but like I thought it was cool when you were the guy. You know what I mean? And you were like everyone was looking to you and everyone was I idolized it to a degree. And then like rupturing that friendship with PJ, I was like, what am I like? You know what I mean? Like I remember looking around kind of at who was in the room one time. That's when I first reached out to PJ to even talk, because he thought he's never gonna even hear me. I'm just gonna do my own thing, and like we're friends, but it's not gonna be how it used to be and how it should be. You know, so I remember looking around and like anything, and I'm not blaming others either. A lot of it is me. I kind of made these dynamics, and I looked around and I was like, if I said the most profound thing ever right now, everyone would agree. You know what I mean? Or if I was like F Peach, everyone would agree. You know what I mean? Where I want someone, I realized that like I want to have relationships, and like I said, this I'm not putting it on anyone else, because you have the power to speak up and be like, hey, I want you to tell me when I mess up. You know what I mean? So I started realizing, I'm speaking from my perspective now, and back in the day it was like foreign to me. I was trying to understand why these dynamics were the way they were. And so I want someone in the room to be like, why are we saying F Peach?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's your brother. You should be, and I realized I didn't have this. I didn't and so that started the conversations with Peach. And then, and I don't want to over, like, you want me just to keep talking?
Bro, bro, keep going, bro.
I have so much to say.
No, say it.
I'm actually really excited because I haven't done a podcast in forever, I'm so excited to I haven't really even had the opportunity to speak on a lot of these things.
Well, I think it's good that you're doing it, especially this. Like, I think, like, you might think you're just rambling, but you're speaking on something significant because it's easy to surround yourself with yes men. And, like, I think that's why a lot of people, like, when you find out that a pastor, does something sexually immoral, and then you're like, whoa, how would a pastor do something like that? Like, he's got like people that hold him accountable or like whatever. And then you find out that like those guys were yes men. Like they were too afraid to say something to him because they saw something small going on, you know? And so, it's like what we said at Chick-fil-A. Like there's a lot of people that will have a view of your life, but who can you count on to have a voice in your life that can like actually speak up and say like, hey bro, there's something wrong? Because honestly, the people that heart check me, even if it stings a little bit at first, those are the people I love. Yeah. Because I know that they actually care about my soul. Yeah. Yeah. They keep going. So you're like,
that makes a good friend.
It makes a best friend.
And it's crazy because naturally there's dynamics. Like, and that's why I love talking to you because this changes everything. You know what I mean? Because it's like naturally people are relying on you for certain things, or naturally people see you a certain way. So if you meet someone, they already have this perception of like, not one, because like, bro, I know how it is. It's like if I'm with someone that if I'm with Yachty and he's doing something like anything, I'm such a fan, bro. Like, to this day, like we're boys, but like I'm not gonna be like, yo, you should change this. I should actually. Yeah. But like I'm not even saying he needs to change anything, but I'm just saying like that dynamic changes things to where like I'm a little more timid or a little more like when I'm around, because I grew up, and a lot of the people that I started becoming friends with either watch the videos or what I mean. So naturally things just change. First world problems, but it does. It shifts dynamics that 95% of people in this lane probably aren't even aware of. Yeah, you know what I mean, because it's just life.
Well, a lot of people they're looking up to you and they're like, well, I'm afraid if I say something, maybe he's not gonna like me, and that's not anything that you're doing. You're not painting that picture. Yeah, but that's just reality. That happens to me that happens to me when I approach certain people. It's like, oh, I'm even afraid to just say my name because I don't want to say it wrong. And then they're like, that guy's a weirdo, you know?
Yeah,
like
seriously.
There's like that fear. Yeah. But then it's like, you realize that you want a brother. You want like that kind of bond. Like Proverbs says a brother is born in adversity. And you and Peach have always been close friends, but what you're describing is like brotherhood was born when he pushed back because he was heart checking.
Oh, absolutely. It changed my life. You know what I mean? Because losing that friend, and then also me and Kyle were fighting too. So it was like my two boys, from my cousin and my best friend before everything, were distancing themselves from me. It made me, and sometimes like respect or from full transparency, sometimes you need to get humbled or lose things to kind of take you out of that funk. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's real. That's because it's hard to see when everything's going and everything's good and everything is good. You know what I mean? So that really checked me. And that's when I started, and this was like 2 years ago. That's when I started to even open my mind up to the fact that like, maybe the way I do things is not always the correct way. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Peach made me a lot more empathetic. Peach made me a lot more open-minded. You know what I mean? And that's when I started to go down this new path.
And not only like just butting heads with like your closest friends, but would you feel like that you were just like at a low point? Like I don't know, for some people it's different. Some people are like, yeah, I was just chilling. I was just butting heads. But did you feel like that you were good, or were you at like a low point outside of just friendships?
Yeah, I was for sure at a low point. I was going through it. You know what I mean? Like oftentimes when you're like that, your mind is so much more open to critiquing and to, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because I knew that I wanted to be a better man. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And Peach was the one that kind of like sparked this newfound interest in faith, right?
I would say, well, yes, but we'll get into this. We can right now if you want. But it was my best friend Charlie, where it really started. He's one of my high school buddies. He's not in any videos. If you guys somehow know him, he's in like 3 videos, but like he's totally outside of this world. Me and him were giving Peach advice. My advice was like, bro, you got to move a certain way. Like you got to like never give up your power, bro. Like make sure you like, cause like I've been the good guy. Like you don't want to do that, bro. You got to move a little, like
be a bad boy.
Second you open up, like the second you give emotion, they're gonna use that against you.
Yeah,
rightfully so, because I was not rightfully so, but that's what I was almost taught growing up, through experiences and whatnot. And then Charlie was over there, like always do the right thing, no matter what. Communicate. If they use that against you, then you know they're not the one. You move forward. And I was like, bro, like. Whatever, like you know what I mean? But time and time again, he would say these things. Even outside of that situation in my past, in my phases of uplifting money or attention or whatever, he would always, without even saying directly, like it was never like, yo, you need to become Christian. You need, you know what I mean? Yeah. It was just like the things he would say always seemed like the right thing to do, and I respected the man he was, and I didn't even, deep down I did, but on the outside I was like, if you act like that, like, you're gonna get your heart broken, you're gonna like, people are gonna take advantage of you, bro. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough. And as I started listening to his advice more with life in general, it always seemed like he knew. Like it always seemed like how do you always do the right thing? You know what I mean? And same with Peach. Like Peach, a lot of the time, when the whole room was okay with something wrong, he would go the other way, and he wouldn't be embarrassed to. You know what I mean? And as I started to ask more questions from them, I realized that all came back to God, and Charlie's morals and everything was because of his faith. And the man he was, I was inspired. You know what I mean? I was moved. I was in, like I talked about earlier, I got so used to like, I felt like I knew everything. Like, y'all watch me. I know what I'm doing. Like, you know what I mean? And it still came from a good place. Like, be sober. Like, you know what I mean? Like, follow your dreams. But it was deeper than that. You know, it kind of gave me this complex of like, I knew it started wholesomely and it started from those things, but then it gave me this complex of like, I always know. Yeah. You know, so Charlie started to paint not paint a new perspective, but I would like be in a room like, what is fueling this? You know what I mean? Like his energy is so pure and it's so beautiful. And it's so consistent of like, somehow he is always able to do the right thing and do what's best, not just for him, not just for what people think, not just, for God, you know, but I didn't know that at the time. I was more of just like, like where does this come from? Yeah. You know? Yeah. Cause it's so countercultural. Everybody and their mom would say, yeah, bro, be hard. Yeah. Like, be hard. Like, don't do it. Be tough. Be tough. Like, you're not the only one. Everyone would say that. But so when you hear something that's not normal, it just kind of throws you off. It does. You're just like, why aren't you saying what everyone else is saying right now? It's like, but then you realize that he's got a heart change. Charlie's got this heart change. So then Charlie's kind of talking to you about faith, about Jesus. You guys start going to church again. And when would you say, for you? Well, not yet. We didn't go to church yet. Oh, y'all were just kind of like having this convo. No. Yeah, not yet. We were just. I was almost just examining him. Yeah. From afar of like, what is fueling this, you know? And then I would talk to him deeper. But also back to what you were saying of like, we are taught in this on social media and within everything of like, you got to be hard and you got to like, you know what I mean? Especially with the things like that are uplifted online or uplifted or even personal experiences. Like I was raised, my father always told me to do the right thing and to be honest and to like not worry about like power or like, you know what I mean? And I lost that because of experiences to where I thought, yeah, Dad, that's in fairy tales, but like you gotta like you can't, and there's a balance. Like, obviously there's like, you don't want to be like, we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But like, there's a balance, of course.
Uh-huh.
Like it's not, when I say it's okay to share emotions, I'm not saying like you're calling, complaining your girl or someone like every day crying. But it's if you are open to be not toxically emotional and vulnerable and be able to communicate, you know, but still like lead and still, you know, be there for them. Yeah. That's a beautiful thing. But I didn't know, seeing Charlie even speak like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or seeing him, he would call out the people that were around. That were like, Baylen, are you? And it wouldn't come across aggressive. It wouldn't come across like, oh, screw that person. Like, you know, because it would just be more questions. Like, Baylen, do you think they're the best for you? You know what I mean? And I was like, huh. You know, so these things Charlie was saying were just adding up. Anyways, I was lost in life, bro. I was also starting to change with my career. You know what I mean? I wasn't really feeling it like that. I wasn't finding worth in it like that. I knew there was something bigger. I knew there was something, but I was distracting myself with pleasures or with, you know what I mean? And things that, I was just lost. Yeah. Or even like when I say you can distract yourself with just being lazy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yep. Of like, well, I'm just chilling today. Yep. That's not how we're supposed to live. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're supposed to, being idle like that is not right.
Yeah, laziness like slaps God in the face.
Yeah, seriously.
Like the days that I'm lazy, there's a difference between rest and laziness.
Yeah, yes.
But like the days that Bryce is lazy, I feel like I'm slapping God in the face and saying, yeah, I'm not excited about the life you you know?
Exactly. And there's also, when you need a rest day, it's so much different than when you're like, man, I don't really know what to do. Life is hard. I'm going to just chill in bed and watch TV. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm going to just like
eat some food.
Stay up all night and eat like, you know? Yeah. Told myself I wasn't going to cuss on this podcast. So let's see if I can do it. I said, I was about to say something else.
You've done great.
Thank you. So I was lost, super lost. I didn't connect with the, what's the word? And I guess like mega churches. I never connected with it. Not saying that that's bad or anything. I wanted to connect with things, but I hadn't yet. And also I noticed that like, yes, I was praying in that chapter of my life, but I was also praying because I wasn't doing well. You know what I mean? I hadn't understood what prayer really meant yet. So I was like moving in the right direction, but you know, but then at this point I'm just lost. I'm like so confused with everything. And deeper stuff that I don't want to say, but just like so many things in life I was lost with. Mm-hmm. Charlie's like, yo, bro, come to adoration with me. I was like, what is that? And he's like, just come to adoration, say a prayer. You're in the presence of Jesus. You know, I didn't understand. I didn't even really understand. Like, I just knew God. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I didn't even when I was there, I didn't really know what it was. Yeah, you know what I mean? But I remember when I stepped into this room, it was beautiful. You know what I mean? I felt this, I'll never forget the feeling. And for the first time in my life, when I prayed, for once, I didn't ask for something, trying to control it like I have my whole life. Outside of prayer or during prayer, just in general, I would always try to control things, not in necessarily a bad way, at times a bad way, but like I viewed it as like manifestation, like, oh, if I put my mind to something, I'll always do it. Yeah. And like, it was like all me, you know? So when I went to adoration, I said a prayer. I was like, God, I don't know what I'm doing. Just show me the way. You know what I mean? Just show me what direction I'm supposed to take with everything. Like I don't know. I gave it to him. You know what I mean? Rather than trying to control it for myself or even ask for something. You know what I mean? So we left, and I mean, it was beautiful, but I didn't think about it after that. You know what I mean? I continued on with my life, and then months later, Charlie meets someone, and you know, introduced me to someone that just changed my life forever. You know what I mean? I was like, there's no way that Charlie brought me to adoration, then meets this person, then this person helps me grow so much in my faith. And me and Charlie start like that's when I started going to church, you know what I mean? And it was so clear to me that as soon as I gave it up, you know what I mean? As soon as I let God control the wheel, everything started to make sense, you know, where I was supposed to go, down to the little details of my life.
Yeah.
And that is where I really started to know that like everything that's ever happened, anything, it wasn't me. Yes, I have free will, but like these are gifts from God. You know what I mean? These are blessings from God. All the hardships were on purpose. All those things taught me something. I wouldn't, if you were just easy floating, you'll never learn. You know what I mean? And so that's when I started to really, that's when I started to actually really grow in my faith. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude, I think that's that's always incredibly encouraging. I remember when we talked a little bit about that at Chick-fil-A, because when you don't surrender, you don't need God, but that's like the worst way to live. And a lot of people are looking for freedom. They've got a God-sized hole in their heart. They're looking for love and trying to find love in sex, porn, drugs, all the sinfulness, and they can't find it. And then they wonder why they can't find it. And I think it's, you know, if you want something you've never had, you got to do something you've never done. And like, that's just being transparent. I remember a mentor told me a long time ago, he said, Bryce, transparency leads to transformation. Like, you can't change unless you get honest. And it's like in that moment for you, you're saying, all right, God, I'm tired of doing it my way. And I even think what you said afterwards, like, yeah, I prayed that and just kind of went on. I think that exemplifies total surrender, because you're just like, all right, I did it. And then I'm not like, there's no stress when you're trusting God. Like, that's a weird thing about faith, is like you don't know like the little things that, like, you know, the left turn, right turn, this thing. You just know like, okay, God, I'm trying to be faithful to you. I want to do what you want me to do. So just like let it happen. And I'm going to keep loving you and being faithful to you. And that was a game changer. And the fact that you're just praying, that's just praising Jesus. Like, the only thing you say is praising Jesus. Like, how many times in my life do I reflect and think that all I do is just ask God like a genie in a bottle? God, do this thing for me. And I'm only asking him for things that Bryce wants, not what I need. I'm asking for what I want. And God will only give me the things I need. And I thought that he was just a total buzzkill because I wasn't getting the things I was asking for. But really, he was just protecting me, because he like loves me and he's the best dad and he knows what's good for me and he doesn't want to hurt me. And I just think that's so important, because you get to a place where, you know, you either humble yourself before God, or you get humbled by your sin. And I've been humbled by my sin before. That's the worst. That's the worst ever. Like, ever. And so it makes me go like, man, I really want to like just be faithful and trust on you. And especially recently, I just feel such an urgency and a fire in my heart to love people like I've never loved before, to serve people like I've never served before, to like love and serve people like it's my last breath, and show people the love of Jesus and tell them the truth about Jesus, because it's just like, there's something inside of me that's burning. That's like, man, people need this freedom.
They do.
You know, they need the freedom. They need Jesus. And that's the game changer for you.
It is. And freedom is often, people don't know. When I was a kid, I thought freedom meant being able to do whatever you want. You know what I mean? That's not freedom at all. You know, freedom is when you make the right choice every single time, when you can choose anything. You know what I mean? Like, that's true freedom is giving it up to God. You know what I mean? Because I used to think that like, oh, it's doing whatever you want. Yeah. No, you won't find fulfillment in that. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's not actually freeing.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. I even felt that way too. Like, when I always thought, especially when I first became a Christian, I thought freedom was just like me being able to avoid sin and like avoid problems. But then I was like, that's not freedom. Freedom is when those things don't control me anymore. And I don't have to give those things the power when I'm trusting Jesus. Because when I'm trusting Jesus, those things don't have power. They lose power over me. sin and temptation, all these things, they lose power when I'm trusting Jesus because I'm choosing to say, your way's better. Your way's better. What you have in store for me is better. Your will for me is better. It's magnificent. It's awesome. And that freedom's the best. It's the best to live in freedom. I wanted to ask you about something in particular too, because I was thinking about it earlier when I knew you were coming over today, was in your recent video that you made on YouTube, the Walmart one, when you went back and you were apologizing.
Yeah.
First of all, cinematic masterpiece.
Thanks,
Beautiful. What I loved, first of all, what I love just about you, brag on you, is how honest you are and how you own up to everything. You own up to the good. You own up to the mistakes.
Thanks.
I love that about you.
Thank you.
And I think the most beautiful thing I thought was when you did that skit in Walmart when those kids come up to you and they're filming and they're like, yo, I just pegged an old lady in the back of the head with a football. And you're like, why'd you do that? Like, why'd you peg? And they're like, I'm just trying to be like you. And you're like, I wouldn't even do that. I wouldn't even peg someone in the back of the head with a football. Like, why are you throwing footballs at old women? Can you kind of talk a little bit about that? Like how, your heart was pure from the get-go, like being fun and being pranks and things like that. But like people kind of took it to an extreme. You know what I'm talking about? That like even you wouldn't take. Like, can you kind of like walk me through that process with me? And like, what did you feel like? Did you feel bad or responsible when people would take these to the extreme?
Absolutely. When I started, it was very natural. It was like we mess around, and if something happened, it happened, and if some altercation happened on camera, and then I think the genre blew up so much, and myself included, you started to see how many views you could get if someone was yelling at you in that thumbnil. Yeah. So then rather than like, oh, we're gonna go have fun today, it was like, let's go in Walmart and like let's
purposefully make someone upset. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just the whole idea of it, of like, realistically, you are walking in there with a camera.
Yeah.
You're being obnoxious. Someone gets upset, and then you flip it on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then because the viewers are so young, they see it from your perspective. You know what I mean? And they like it. They're like, oh, F that dude. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like trying to hate on you having fun. These days, I'll still go mess around and have fun. But if someone's being polite and like, oh, I don't want to be on camera, or like, hey, can you stop doing that? Of course, man. Like, you know what I mean? But kind of like my eyes were just like, so like, oh, get the clip, blah, blah, blah. And it became almost convinced myself that it was right. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, dude, we're just coming in here having fun filming it. Like, why do they care? You know? And so the genre blew up so much to where then I started seeing people take it so far. You know what I mean? Like just like ridiculously far. Yeah. And I was like, dude, this is far from what it started off as. You know what I mean? And this is like totally not what I want to stand for. Yeah. You know? And I fully take responsibility. People took it too far, but I also took it too far a lot of the time. And that really number one, I just grew up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like as you get older, when you're a kid, it's like, oh, us against the world, blah, blah. You know what I mean? I just grew up a little. But it's not cool to be disrespectful like that.
Yeah, it's not cool to be a jerk.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, dude, I think you should even, and it's like kind of a joke, watching you go back in and like apologize to people. Oh, bro, we got a camera. Is it cool if we record you? The guy's like, yeah, bro, you can record me. It's like,
I know. I was like, what? I can film?
Like, everyone said that,
I was like, no one said no. And I was like, huh. All these years I've been like, why don't they let us film? Yeah. We go in there just, vibing and then like, sure, film.
Yeah, it makes no sense, but then it's like kind of a joke, but then it also shows your heart because it's just like, well, wait a second, like, it started pure, then it got a little crazy, and that wasn't my intent to make it crazy. Like, I feel like I'll give you an example, which I love. This is like on my heart. Is before we started filming us talking to people about Jesus, that's what I was doing ever since I became a Christian. I mean, the moment I got saved, I ran up to people and would tell them Jesus loved them. And then I would run away before they could respond because I didn't know the answers to their questions, And so I was like, that's why it was so easy to pick up the camera and not force an interaction with someone.
Yeah.
Because it was like, this is a lifestyle, you know, and then so many people are being impacted, and that's the goal. And then now there's this perception out there where it's, well, I'm only going to go tell people about Jesus when a camera's rolling for other people. And I'm like, well, whoa. I don't want people to think that's the only time you can go share Jesus is when there's a camera rolling, because that's not genuine. That's not sincere.
Yep.
You need to go talk to people about Jesus if you're at the grocery store, if you're at the restaurant, on camera, off camera. In fact, I would rather people tell more people about Jesus off camera than on camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the only reason that we're recording it is, you know, because God's called us to do it. Felt like God gave me a dream. I woke up in the middle of the night from a dream where God was like asking us to record these conversations that we were having to encourage the body of Christ and believers. And it was great. And I still think it's great. And I still think it's pure, you know, but it's like, you know, sometimes people can take it too far, or like to a thing where you're like, well, I'm not encouraging that. Like Bryce isn't encouraging people to only share Jesus on camera. Bryce is encouraging it to be a lifestyle. And the same way, it's like, I'm trying to encourage people in sobriety and things like that, and to be fun and be a kid. And it's like, but people are like chucking footballs at old ladies' heads. Yeah. And then it's like, I'm not chucking footballs at old people's heads. Like I'm, you know, yeah, I don't know. You get what I'm saying though? It's
I
like,
absolutely get what
it's
you're
like
saying.
There's social media sometimes unintentionally people like take it to the extreme. And like, bro, I'm like, does it ever shock you when it's like, I mean, you're pretty bold. And then like there's like people that are like more bold than you, like on like times 20. Yeah. And you're just like, bro, I didn't even know that existed.
Exactly what you said is it doesn't come across genuine to me. You know what I mean? It comes across of like we genuinely, everything, it's so funny because everything that was on camera in the beginning, before I started to kind of be like, because there was an era where I started to mature, but I was afraid to mature on camera because it was what everyone's known. But it was really us. You know what I mean? Like people are like, so you drink or smoke off camera. And I'm like, no, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Or like, so you're like going and like messing around. Like for the camera. I'm like, no, dude. Like when we're not filming, that's what we were doing. You know what I mean? Like I never was into partying or like even like video games or anything. I would just like to go out and like just have fun with the boys. You know, so it was all really, really genuine. Yeah. And then when I started to pick up on that, it was like almost like a formula. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure there's people out there that said like we're sober that weren't even sober. You know, it became like a thing. You know, and
it's like you want to encourage the lifestyle. And bro, I think it's so cool because now you're like encouraging this lifestyle where it's like, man, Jesus has changed your life and impacted you.
Absolutely.
And it's great. And it's like, that's the prize. That's the goal. Like living for Jesus is the prize. And, you know, that's why I want to live for Jesus, because I'm like, that's the goal, is living for Jesus. And he gives me the satisfaction. He makes me feel secure. He makes me feel significant. Like that's the ultimate prize. And, you know, even like, man, even recently, like just the cool conversations I've been getting to have with people where even today, like Dylan and Chris, they went to go interview, we're getting to share this lady's story. She's been battling breast cancer for 2 years, and we're getting to share her story. And just how through suffering, she's been drawn to Jesus more and more and more, and how Jesus is giving her satisfaction when she has every right to be unsatisfied. And I'm like, that's the goal. I want to be like Ashley, who's battling breast cancer every day, and she's finding more joy even in the suffering because of Jesus. Or
how'd you meet her?
Through my church.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, through my church. Or, you know, my Uncle Tommy, who went to prison and found Jesus in prison.
Yeah, that happens.
And now
a
it's
lot.
like the best guy ever, like the coolest guy ever. And I'm like, I want to be more like Tommy, who loves Jesus and realizes that God doesn't see him for his past, but God sees the heart and God sees the changes he's making. He's put his faith in. I want to be like Tommy, because Tommy's like Jesus. And I think that's just like, that's the prize.
Yeah,
What
it is.
What's been the best part about following Jesus for you?
I would have to say, really, like, a big thing for me is finding so much comfort in prayer. You know what I mean? Like when I would feel anxious, or when I would feel depression, or when I would feel these things, you know what I mean? I almost let it consume me. You know, like I would turn to bad things to try to make myself feel better. And when I say bad things, it can be as simple as staying up late. You know what I mean? Or eating like crap, or being negative. You know what I mean? So finding so much comfort in prayer, and knowing that anxiety and you know, that need to then give in to bad things, that's the devil. You know what I mean? That's not like when everything's going good, when you start to get anxious about something, or when that's the devil. You know what I mean? And you have the power to turn to God, you know, not to turn to those things. And I think that is a two-part question, because in that, being able to then go share that with other people, you know what I mean? And be able to have conversations with people, and being able to help them, because how many kids struggle with anxiety? How many kids turn to porn, or turn to drinking, or turn to, you know what I mean? Things like that. Like even just recently, I don't masturbate anymore. You know what I mean? And I, because I noticed that I would, and I haven't watched porn since I was 19, or 18, 19. I don't know. But I made that decision a long time ago, of just like recognizing that doesn't make me feel good. You know what I mean? Yeah. But as I've just grown even more, I've noticed that like when, and it sounds dramatic, but it's real. You know what I mean? Like, to someone that doesn't understand, it's like, when you get that temptation of like, I'm sad right now, I'm anxious right now, jerking off will make me feel better. That's the devil, bro. Like,
It's the devil.
Seriously. You know, but if you said that to me 5 years ago, I'd be like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, the devil's there trying to like manipulate you. Like, like those thoughts are not how, that's not what God would want at all.
Absolutely.
Like, you know what I mean? And rather to find comfort in him, and then do the things I've noticed too. Sorry, I'm totally going everywhere.
No, this is so good.
But I've noticed that, like, well, let me go back to that. I noticed that I wasn't jerking off out of a place of like, oh, let me like it wasn't even like, oh, this feels good. It was like, I'm stressed right now. That'll give me like 5 seconds of dopamine, or like I'll feel good. And then you crash, and then you feel worse. And then you want to do it again, because you already feel bad. You know what I mean? Or then you're like, oh, let me like, I'm gonna binge a show now all day, or whatever. You know what I mean? So I found, if because everyone has temptation, you know what I mean? I also thought that you could just like beat things. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, that's not me. I don't have temptation to jerk off. Oh, I don't need to. You know what I mean? We have these things in us. Like, we have you have the power to be rude or not. You know what I mean? Like, it's like it's what you choose. You know what I mean? And what would God be proud of? You know what I mean? How would you like to honor him? You know what I mean? Like back to what we were saying about laziness. Like, you gave me this a beautiful life, and I'm gonna sit here and do nothing when I get stressed. You know what I mean? No, I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna trust in you. You know what I mean? And then I'm gonna use these beautiful gifts you gave me. And instead of masturbating, I'm gonna go to the gym. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go outside in the sun. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go spend time with people that love me. I'm gonna go to church, and I'm gonna go to adoration. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? I'm gonna go do things that I know will actually help me. You know what I mean? And I think that's the what was the original question?
It's like you want to do things that are life-giving and that give glory to God when you feel tempted. Because that's what I love, that description you gave, because you're like, that's the devil. He says, hey, do this thing one more time. And then you do it, and then the devil goes, why'd you do that? And then he goes, hey, you should do it one more time because you already screwed it up. So like, what's the difference if you already do it once? You know and then you just bury yourself in shame and shame and shame. And there's this quote I always bring up because I think it's the coolest ever, but it's so true. Satan knows your name, but he calls you by your sin. but Jesus knows all of your sin, but he calls you by your name. Because
Explain that.
the devil knows my name.
Yeah.
He knows my name is Bryce.
Yeah.
But he only calls me by my junk. You're worthless.
Yeah.
You're this.
Yeah.
You're that.
Yeah.
You're shame.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
Jesus knows all my shame and all my junk,
Mhm.
but he chooses to call me his son. He calls me Bryce,
Still, yeah.
and he calls me higher. And that's encouraging and that's uplifting. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym if I got testosterone running through my body, because not only does he get rid of the testosterone, but I'm glorifying God with my health. It's like a 2-in-1 right there. You know, I'm going to go in the sun and enjoy the beautiful weather, because one day I'm not going to get to have weather in heaven. It's just going to be light, because God's glory is keeping it like that. So I'm going to enjoy the sun, and I'm going to, you know, give glory to God with my body. And it's, you know, it's like, and it's so crazy because I remember we did an episode like recently with this guy, Santa Cruz Medicinals. He does like health stuff. And I love what he compared to. He's like, you know, a lot of people, he was comparing it to food. He was like, you know, a lot of people, they only eat like processed crap food. And so like their body's accustomed to it. So then when they eat healthy, their like body feels like crap. But if you go like a month, detox for bad food, and you eat healthy, and then you try to eat bad food, you realize that you feel way better eating healthy.
Crazy?
And he's like, and I like correlate that to spiritual life. It's like you get so accustomed to sin.
Yeah.
Then the moment you try to like deny your flesh and feed your spirit, it feels like uncomfortable. But then when you feed your spirit for so long and then you like screw up, you get that conviction. You're like, that sucked. Like that was like the worst.
Yeah.
You know, it's so
Seriously.
interesting because you
That's so
don't
cool
know
that you're saying these things.
Yeah, you don't know how good you'll feel living for Jesus
you
until
don't.
you give it a shot. And then you realize that that's the best life, and that's the healthiest life, and that's like the most joyful, free life
And
you can
then
live.
you get to do that for so many others. You know what I mean? And I respect you so much, because it's like, what more could I possibly like ask for these kids to be watching and to looking up to, and to like, you know, these things, and then you go get to spread it. You know what I mean? And it's like being able to like have a boy that's going through something that wants to go turn to even if it's just like being mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be masturbation or drugs or,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It can be letting your insecurities get the best of you. Insecurities are not, that's the devil, bro.
Yeah,
Like, and people like some people will be like, bro, like you have feelings, or you're feeling insecure. You're not meant to, you're meant to love yourself. You're meant to love others. You know what I mean? You're meant to forgive. You're meant to hate. You know what I mean? Like you're meant to hate. You're not supposed to feel that hate. You know what I mean? Like, and it's harder. It's harder to like, someone does you wrong, and to not be like, screw them. Bro.
It's hard to turn the other cheek.
It's harder,
you know?
But if you can feel empathy, and if you can, me and him just had a falling out 8 months ago. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then I was like, what am I doing, bro? Like why? I don't want hate in my heart for my brother. You know what I mean? Yeah. And calling him up and apologizing to each other and reconnecting. And that doesn't mean you need to be besties with everyone. There are some people where you should have distance, or there's some people where if they're repetitively, like, it's a different story. But just remove yourself. Yep. The biggest thing I've learned too, and I didn't understand this, is when I really grew in my prayer, Peach would tell me, pray for the people you don't like. I was like, huh? Yeah. What? Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah. And he was like, don't let your heart feel that. Pray for them, because why are they acting this way? Yeah. Why did someone lie to you? Yeah. You know what I mean? Why did someone, because they're dealing with things. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're maybe they're insecure. Yeah. Maybe someone treated them a certain way. Maybe their dad did this to them. Maybe, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that changed my perspective. Yeah. You know, because it's so easy to be like, you did me dirty. Yeah. Like, get away from me, bro. Yeah. Like, I'm praying on your downfall. Like, no, that's not the way. Yeah. Pray for them. Pray that they find, pray that they find God. Pray that they find happiness. Pray that they work through that insecurity. You know what I mean? And it lifts not only for you, you feel such a lift of like not feeling that hate dragging you down. Yeah. But then like, imagine them being lifted of their insecurity, and then you see each other, and it's love, or you never see them again, but you wish the best for them in life, and you pray that they have a good life, and they get to, do that, and that changed my perspective. So I would say prayer, finding back to the question, is the power of prayer has changed my life. You know what I mean? in every aspect. And not even just prayer, but in living for God. You know, it didn't make sense to me when someone said, like, even recently, I was in church and they were talking about like you shouldn't love your family more than you love God. You know what I mean? Like along those lines. And I was like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, can I love them equally? Like,
Yeah.
I love my family. You know what I mean? Like, but it's like in loving God, in putting God first, the relationship that you can have. And when I say relationship, I'm not talking about romantic. I'm talking about in friendships, romantically, family. That is where when you live for God like that, what you can actually achieve, you know what I mean, is so greater, because you're not supposed to cling so tight. You know what I mean? You should give that up to God. You know what I mean? And because like I said, growing up, I liked holding my wheel. You know what I mean? I wanted control of things, and not even in a negative way, but I'm saying like it was hard for me just to let go, but being able to put God first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In my relationships and the things I do and everything has changed my life.
Yeah.
You know? And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing.
Yeah. If you could encourage people watching, listening to something with faith, turn into Jesus, like, what would you say to someone?
I would say that, like, don't just go to church because it's Sunday. You know what I mean? Or read a verse and not take it in, or like really go to build your relationship with God. You know what I mean? Like, do these things not because you want something, or not because it's what you're supposed to do, or not because like I made the mistake of like, oh, it's Sunday, let me go. You know what I mean? Like, oh, church, like I have to go, it's Sunday.
Yeah.
Go because you want to build that relationship. Just as I remember they said this, they said this very, very recently. Sorry, what was I saying? Walked out.
We were talking about
his name was Father Tamaro. He said, you don't just go to your family's house and eat and then dip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You go there and you talk and you build a relationship. It's not just about showing up and getting the food and leaving. You know, and that stuck out to me so much because I'm very ADHD. I'm very all over the place. So like I would be like, oh, I'm going to church. I'm doing the right thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but I wasn't listening. I wasn't really building that relationship. And that gives me, like I said, my focus is really bad. So I have to follow along and really stay on task. And like even just singing helps me because it keeps me in the moment and I don't drift off. But like really focus on God should be a friend. You know what I mean? Like God is like and a father. But like sometimes I'm like, it can be casual. Like I'll just be like, hey God, like I'm having a tough day, or hey God, I'm so thankful for this. And it doesn't have to be like you don't have to be so, it should be a relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I used to think like down and it's like, oh, you have to say you have to say it a certain way, and you have to like it was more of like a task of like, this is right. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's all about building a relationship, similar to when I let Peach in.
Yeah.
It deepened us, and I was able to learn, and we were able to take from each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you let God in and you're honest and you're vulnerable and you are speaking to him about everything, and not just when you're struggling, you know what I mean? When you're doing well, when you're not doing well, when you're tempted or when you're not tempted, and you just want to have him, you know, remind you and show you the path and show you the way to just keep that relationship. I don't just call Peach if I'm hurting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We stay connected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And God loves you so much. You know what I mean? If you're afraid or you don't even know where to begin, it's like, sometimes it's intimidating.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, I don't know what I'm doing in church.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. I don't know. He loves you. You know what I mean? Like he understands. He knows everything. So it's really just about building. That's the best piece of advice I can give is being able to grow that relationship and allowing him to come in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's profound and beautiful. Let me pray for us to close this out, if that's cool. Jesus, thank you so much for today, God. Thank you for the weather. Thank you for breath outside of our lungs. Thank you for waking us up. Thank you for Baylen, and thank you for our conversation. God, I just pray that this conversation blesses people. God, I just thank you that you're in the room. Thank you that you love us. Thank you for Jesus. Thank you for him dying on the cross for our sins and raising from the dead. God, we love you, and we're so grateful for you. God, would you just move? Would you continue to move in our hearts and in our minds? God, we just love you so much. We're grateful for you. We appreciate you. Thank you for allowing us to get to have a conversation. Bless everyone watching and listening. We love you, Jesus. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Guys, thank you so much for watching and listening to this episode. If you guys like it, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok. Bless you guys, and see you guys next week for the next episode.